אותנו די? רואים אותנו כבר? אז הם מבינים מה אנחנו אומרים? הם שומעים אותנו גם כאילו? יש ווליום? אוקיי. אתה רואה? טוב. Guys, we're just waiting for the last few participants to join, and we'll get right started. נצטרך עזרה עכשיו? כן, כן, חזר. מה אנחנו עושים לזה?
רגע. בצד שמאל יש לך מילה.
Guys, we're going to give it just 5 more minutes to let other people join. We're almost at a maximum, but just 5 more quick minutes and then we'll get started. All right, guys, so we're gonna get started right away. I'm sorry for the delay. I'm just going to first pre-frame just how this is gonna be negotiated so that everyone can stay in the loop. And the first thing Leah reminded me of is that not everyone, all of the participants speak perfect English. And so I'm gonna go as slow as possible. If you guys have any questions at any point, you can just write me anything on the chat box and I'll try to answer. If I can't, then I will make a note to myself to answer you privately later on. So the first thing we're gonna go over is we're going to introduce ourselves, Leah and I, and who we are and what we're going to try and do here for you guys today. The second thing we'll be touching base on is what are binary options? Really, what are people missing? What are people from abroad don't fully understand about the structure and how it was operated and the damage, the international damage to Israel in particular. The end of the binary options industry. So Israel at some point banned binary options from the country, and people seem to think that that is the end of binary options. It's not exactly what is happening in reality, so we'll go over that. Recovery agencies, what are they? What happened to them? Are they legitimate? Are they not? Are they a good idea? Something to consider. The last two things we'll go over is what the challenges of the victims really are. Especially nowadays, because the challenges from 2-3 years ago are no longer the same. And the solutions, what are the solutions available to victims nowadays? So I'm going to dig right in. I'm just going to mention that Itai is going to be assisting us with the technicalities because we're not very technical, Leah and I, so try and bear with us. So my name is Inbal Melbaum. I am the founder and CEO of Bowstring Capital, which is a brand new litigation financing platform that is designed on a peer-to-peer basis, meaning we're not a fund. We don't fund your cases. What we do is we match victims who have a just case against anything and anyone, but can't afford litigation proceedings with litigation investors who would invest in the litigation costs associated with your case in exchange for a percentage. Now, I'm sure a lot of you, I recognize some of the names. Some of you may know me from my previous place of employment, which is Wealth Recovery International. It is a recovery agency, and I'm not going to go into it now. I will touch base on it when we get to the point of what recovery agencies are. Sitting with me today is advocate Leah Felus, who is an elite attorney. She is very well recognized in Israel, and I think in France also, considering she did have a few cases against French entities that were fraudulent. She is getting her PhD now, I think, in Haifa University. She has almost 2 decades of experience in both criminal and white-collar law. So she's the person you want fighting your case. And Leah and Bowstring Capital have an alliance agreement where, you know, we like to choose the attorneys that would be handling the cases eventually, and we chose her to be our go-to attorney with any cases, binary options or otherwise. So that is Leah Felus. If you guys have any legal questions during this presentation, please just write it in the chat box over there. Anything you ask is 100% privileged, and we will try to answer as we go on. If we can't, like I said, we will make sure to respond to you later on privately.
We have to say that if there are any legal questions, it has to be, the answers has to be obviously very general answers, because of we can't dig into any cases and all the details, and each detail in the criminal law is very, very important and can change the whole picture and the results and the way of a strategy that we need to take. So The answers would be very general, and if somebody wants to know anything more, you can feel free to approach.
Perfect. Which is 100% correct. That's something I haven't mentioned, is that every case with every entity is entirely different. Not every case is the same. Not every entity is the same. It will really depend on a variety of legal aspects, and we will try to answer generally. For particular questions, you can always ask us at any time privately, and we will answer anything. So, binary options. What are binary options? Binary options is the decision of whether an asset's value is going to rise or drop in a specific period of time, whether it's 5 minutes or 5 months. The trader, quote unquote, would have to determine that based on something. We don't know yet. We don't fully understand the trading system binary option companies provide. But that is what binary options are. In reality, it's almost like a blackjack game. You're not fully aware that you're playing against the house when you think you're playing with a broker who's supposed to be assisting you. Now, yeah, there's a bit of a technical issue. We're trying to work it out. Sorry, guys, it's our first time putting together a webinar, and we're just figuring out the system, so try to bear with us.
We forgot to introduce Tom Lifshitz, our
Right,
colleague.
Tom Lifshitz, who could not be here today, unfortunately. He had a conference in southern Israel, but he will be participating in the next webinar. And he is also an attorney we have an alliance agreement with. Thank you very much. Back to binary options. At one point, and this is based on mostly media, but we can already determine that there were at one point 400 of these companies in the Ramat Gan area, which is about 10 minutes south of Tel Aviv. Business was blooming back in 2016 for the binary options industry. We're talking an estimated $30 billion. Is everything okay? Okay. That's fine. I'm just going to talk. We don't need a presentation, right?
You know it by heart.
I do know it by heart. So again, 2016 was the peak of binary options. And what happened from there on is slowly but surely the Israeli Knesset, the government, realized that the international damage was so astronomical that they could not afford to keep justifying the income, the huge income from this industry, and they had to take a closer look. And they decided to ban all binary option companies from the country. Did all of them go away? You can probably guess no. But most of them did. They moved to locations mostly in Eastern Europe. Bulgaria, Cyprus is blooming with binary options and Forex and cryptocurrency companies, which is more of the same. And the folks who stayed here, we're talking 25,000 employees at some point. That's a gigantic amount of people working for these companies. And I'll touch base on that a little later. But the bottom line is, a lot of people who stayed figured, you know what? There are now a lot of victims out there. This is an opportunity. This is a business opportunity. So we can now help them recover. We can now contact these individuals and legitimately knock on these companies' doors and tell them, we know what you did. We know how the system works. And we're now going to go after you and advise the victims to go to court if you don't settle, if you don't give them their money back. This industry is now referred to as the recovery agency industry. It's very hard to determine whether or not a recovery agency is fraudulent, because when you think of it, the model, the business model on its own makes a lot of sense. You have leverage. and you leverage the company into a settlement by threatening them. You tell them, we will provide the victim all of the information they need to go to court, and they will take you to court. Well, you can only knock on someone's door too many times, so many times, right? You knock once, maybe you get the money back for the client, and you knock twice and 3 times, and at some point, the companies say, no, I'm not giving him their money back. This is going on too long. I'm not going to do this every time you knock on my door. Sue me. Have that client from Singapore, Australia, Canada, the US, New Zealand, have them come to Israel, hunt me down, and sue me for damages. And so the business model, however sense it may make, is not a great business model to provide service to the victims on a long-term basis. This is because, you know, when you take a case, when you take a victim of binary option, when you take on their issue, and you know in advance that you're not going to get the money back because the company is dissolving and finding the assets is too difficult, or there are no assets, that's what would make, to me, a recovery agency marked as fraudulent. However, there are legitimate recovery agencies. They just have a bad business model. It's not that they don't want to recover funds, it's that they can't anymore, as far as we're concerned. It doesn't work. You can't knock on the door 1,000 times and get a yes, right? And that creates a problem for the victims, because now a lot of the victims have not only been defrauded by binary options fraud or forex fraud, they now have the sense that they were defrauded 3 times or twice or more. And that created a lot of insecurity.
Well, that depends. In fact, that depends what this company promised them in the first place.
Correct.
It really depends, because if the companies come with a true suggestion for trying to resolve their problem, but without any promises about the end, about the results, the final result, this is one thing. But if they promise a certain result that they can't know for sure that they can reach for it, they can get it, this is a bit of a problem. And then we can understand the sense and the feeling about the victims, that they say, okay, now it's the second time or the third time that people come and suggest us a solution, and they can't supply it at the end.
Correct. So it's not easy to determine whether a company was acting on bad faith or not. We think that the business model is the problem. Whether they were genuine about their intentions or not, who knows? It's very hard to tell with some of these agencies. But the bottom line is the business model the right business model for victims of financial fraud from abroad now in 2019? Coming close to 2020.
And the most important thing is to make everything very clear. You used before the word of how to make people understand that everything is on the table. Everything has to be very clear from the beginning. And then people will know, all the victims will know exactly each and every step we do for them, and what are the results that might be this kind of strategy that we pick for them.
Correct. Now a little bit about, I'm just going to back up a second, the binary option company structure, which is an important part, because a lot of you guys don't really fully understand. You guys, I'm sure you imagine a boiler room and like 1,000 people on the phone and a huge mess, and that's very close to reality. But there are different departments in the binary option company structure, and I'm going to go through them because it's really important to me that you understand you were not defrauded by 25,000 individuals. You were defrauded by a very small percentage of that group. And I'm going to go through it step by step. Thank you. So the first thing that a potential victim, a victim to be will see is an ad of some sort, whether it's on Google or Facebook, on options, open a free account, yada, yada, yada. The person clicks it. You probably are familiar with this. And then what happens is you go to a department called conversion. A conversion department is exactly what it means. It's to convert you from a lead to a client. That usually requires a minimum of $250 US, which is what 99% of the victims paid this department. And then they move on to another department, to a VIP department. And this is the department we want to talk to you guys, retention. The retention department is the guy that you probably remember, or the girl, that promised to double your money. Maybe they even did, and you saw it doubling and tripling, and then they said, you know what, look how well we're doing. Give us more money. We're going to triple that. And then that's what you guys do. And then they either try to give you a bonus of some sort so that you'll deposit more, or they lose it all at once. They basically take the money, they put it in their pockets. The money's gone the second you send it in, but they want to make you feel that you're losing the funds legitimately. So they will put in a lot of work into making you think exactly that. And that's part of the complexity of not only proving fraudulent activity, but of the entire system. Because, you know, they probably call you every single day, give us more money, let's do this, let's trade on that. They take risky trades when they want to drop you as a client. And in order to drop you, they have to lose your money. The platform itself is not connected to anything. It's a video game. And they manipulate it to their benefit, however they want, whether they want to show you a profit to get more money out of you, or they just want to drop you and they lose all of it, lose it, again, quote unquote. So that's how the fraud works. Now, is every single person out of the 25,000 people a fraud? No. The truth is no. We want to think so, but it's not the truth. The truth is there's the retention department, the people, the VIP broker people, and management, of course, CFOs, people who are, involved in how the money is moved around, etc. So that's just the point I wanted to make, because a lot of people, you know, they know a lot about the industry, but they don't really know the structure of the company. So that's something I want you guys to keep in mind. Itai, next one. All right. So the challenge is, go, more. Here we go. The challenges. The challenges are, you know, to me, made a lot of sense 2 years after working in the recovery agency industry. The first thing is, you know, the money. It's just so expensive. I'm not talking about paying to a recovery agency. I'm talking about litigation proceedings. What you want to do is you want to go to court, but you think, where am I going to get an attorney? The local attorneys don't even understand what this thing is. It's all broad. I don't know. And even if I could find an attorney in Israel, the prices are astronomical. There's no way I can.
I don't know the lawyer. I don't know who the lawyer
Exactly.
is. What is quality?
You don't know who the attorney is. You don't know their credentials. It's a huge mess for the client, to the victim, to determine whether court is even an option, mostly because of the money. You were just defrauded. You probably are not liquid. And even if you are, you're very hesitant to risk more money on something you don't even know will play out the way you want it to. The second thing is, who are you suing? You don't know. You know a name of a brand. It can be, you know, Binary Online, Glenridge Capital. I'm just throwing out names of the bigger brands. But you don't really know the name of the actual registered company. You're not suing Glenridge Capital. You're not suing Binary Online. You're suing the entity behind the brand name, the .com name. And that's a problem. If you don't know who you're suing, you can't sue them.
And also, you don't know if this is its current name.
Right. They change the names all the time. They move their assets around. They move themselves. It's very difficult to pinpoint where and who to sue, which brings me to my third and last issue. When a lawyer is not familiar with the system, he cannot prove fraudulent activity. And if a lawyer is also, this is just one last note about this, there are, I'm not going to say different levels of attorneys, but you need to realize that the company that you're suing, the entity, is very well equipped to deal with a long lawsuit, to sustain it. They will hire the best legal team, ironically, with the money they stole from you in the first place. And if you just get whoever, just an attorney, someone with, a license to practice law, he may or may not be the right attorney for the job. So that's another element of money. You can't afford the best attorney, so you just settle for something else, and then you're risking a lot of money on litigation proceedings without knowing if you have the best person for the job. And the solutions are as follows. So I want to make it 100% clear. Bowstring Capital, a litigation financing platform, is not your only solution. It is not the best solution for any victim of any type of situation, anyone who has a case. It's not. If you have some kind of an evaluation of your case and you know you have a case and you have someone to sue and you have the money to finance it, I personally would advise to finance it yourself. If you're able to sustain it, 100%. You don't need a third party. It's like taking a loan from the bank. If you don't need a loan, you don't need it. You don't want it, right? So that's the first thing I wanted to put out there. The second thing is, given the circumstances of the individuals who have been defrauded 3, 4, 5 years ago and are lacking the resources or can't afford to lose any, this would be an appropriate solution. It's not an ideal solution. I cannot offer anything ideal. I can't offer guarantees. You may get your case funded and lose in court. That's a possibility, right? It's a valid possibility. Anyone who tells you otherwise is just not giving you the respect of giving you some honesty, right? But there's no question as to whether you should take action. On the other hand, you were someone stole your car and you're not reporting it if you don't file any kind of action against them. What we can offer at Bowstring Capital is to try and obtain a financing solution so that you can have the best attorney, not just an attorney, the best investigator, elite investigators, if need be. It's not necessarily something that would be required. It would really depend on who you're up against, which kind of entity you're up against. And what we want to do is we want to minimize the risk for the claimant and offer an appealing investment opportunity to our investors, litigation investors. And the way this works is very simple. You have a case. You lost $1 million against a company that is not in liquidation. You know who they are. You know where they are. You can prove with documents, with official bank statements, you transferred funds over to them. And you may have a case, but you have no money. You can't afford litigation proceedings. You can't afford court fees. You can't afford any of this. Our suggestion is to first evaluate your case on a very technical level. We're going to go over your documents and figure out what your actual out-of-pocket loss is, because a lot of people say $1 million, but it might be $750,000, and that makes a difference. So that's the first thing we do. We look into whether or not there are more claimants that have a case against this entity. Why? Because that means you guys are a group. It does not mean you're in a class action. It just means you're 5, 10, 15 people telling the exact same story, represented by the same attorneys, the same legal team. That makes your case stronger against the entity, right?
For us as lawyers, it's very important. It's a better situation for us. It's not that if you only one person against one company, you have no chance. But for us, in the legal point of view, if we have few clients, few victims from the same company, there are better chances to make moves and moves that will have a good result at the end.
Exactly. I just want to, I'm looking at Sharon's message. I'm, of course, not going to mention her last name to keep her privacy. But no, I did not say that some binary option trading platforms were not defrauding people. I can't, for obvious reasons, declare all binary option companies were defrauding people. It's not something, anyone is really allowed. It can be considered as slander, and, God forbid, someone from a binary option company hears it, and then I'm in trouble. I'm saying that not all recovery agencies are fraudulent. It's a very thin line. You can call any service you don't like, any bad service, any business model, oh, they defrauded me. I don't think that's the case with some of them. Again, I'm very careful here, but some of them really do the work. They just fail. They just don't provide the right service to the client.
But this is not your job or my job to say. I think that the client, if somebody, one of you, or one of each person in the whole world think that he gave his money, put his money somewhere, and he didn't get what he was promised to get. And I'm not saying that somebody promised him something and he did. He failed in where he put his money. No, this is not what we're saying. We're saying that if one of you say, one of the victims say that he was promised that his money will be used for a certain thing, and he know, or he suspect, or he think, or he feel that it wasn't what was made with his money, then he can approach us and we can check it.
Exactly. So I just want to touch base on, Bowstring Capital has been up and running for not even 3 months, really. And we're very happy to tell you guys that we have successfully obtained funding to one of our first clients who lost $430,000 US and got his case fully funded. And it is now I think it's on its way to be filed. So the system works. Does it work 100% of the time? We don't know yet, but we think we have something great to offer people here that have little to no other resources to handle this thing and are just not quite ready to give up on it yet.
And not always it goes to court. It's important.
Exactly.
It's important.
Exactly. But you guys, I'm sure everyone knows, when you file a lawsuit against someone who, can see that this is they're not on a good side of the argument, legally speaking. What usually happens is
a settlement.
A settlement is obtained outside of court, which is great because there are no court fees. Is it 100% of the money? No, because a settlement is designed to lower that 100% that people are demanding. But still, it is a possibility. Can I call it a likely possibility, considering the circumstances?
Yes, it's under the circumstances. It's in each case, but it's a very good solution that most of the people wanted, because it makes a shorter period of time for to see the money. Because if a person lost his money and is waiting for 1 year or 2 years or 3 years without his money, he didn't see anything from this money. Now, sometimes people prefer not to wait for another 1 year or 2 years to the results, whatever they will be, and to, we call it in Israel, how we say it, one bird in the hand and not in the trees. It's something in Hebrew when we call it. You prefer to know something that you have it now, and you can put the money in the pocket, and not to wait 1 or 2 years and you don't know what the results are.
Exactly. So to just recap everything we've discussed, we've presented to you, first and foremost, our main and first core value, which is transparency. I want you to see my face. I want you to know that we're not hiding behind phones. We are not a recovery agency. In fact, binary options and financial fraud is one of many niches that we as a platform would like to introduce people to. In short, we understand that trust is, at this point, for some of you, maybe most of you, hard to put a value on. The psychological damage. I'm not even talking about the financial damage. So we've made it our mission to provide you free and equal access to information. Maybe we're not the right people for you, the right company to help you, but we're here. We'd love to answer any questions you may have. I personally try to speak with as many victims as possible. You know, I only have 24 hours in a day, like all of you, but I really do my best to reach as many people as possible. And with that being said, I would be more than happy to answer any questions you guys may have. For obvious reasons, I can't, you know, answer everyone's questions as we go on with the presentation, and we're just about to ready to wrap this up. But you guys can, if you want, we're going to leave a link on the chat box, which should be on your right. If you click it, you can leave your details with whatever question you may have, and we will be in touch with you within 3 business days. We will either email you or call you, whatever you guys prefer. You should just mention it in the form that you will fill out, and we would be more than honored to try and assist as many people as possible. I really thank you guys for your time. We've recorded the webinar so that we can share it with more people who can not on a Sunday morning join us, and we really appreciate your time. And thank you so much.
Thank you.
We'll see you guys next time.